dog fans. Okay, welcome back to another episode of Should You Buy Your Daughter slash Son slash Nephew, any child, should you buy a child a reborn doll, and what do you need to know when doing that? Last episode I went over kind of the basics of what is a reborn doll. This episode is a highly asked question by adults buying reborn dolls for children, and even some people who are just collectors and not painters who don't understand why reborn dolls are so expensive. Today I'm going to go over that in, what I think is pretty in-depth detail. And before we start, I'm just going to take a moment to shamelessly plug the fact that Miss Kyrie here is for sale if anyone's looking for a doll from a reputable source. I know that I'm a reputable source. Not many people probably do, but anyways. Okay, so knowing that reborn dolls are art and collectibles, that right off the bat tells you that they are, should be a little bit expensive, because art and collectibles usually are expensive, especially when they're handmade like these dolls. However, I'm going to go into even deeper detail on it, and I've figured out how to record my screen. We're going to go over to McPhersonsArtsandCrafts.com, where I get all of my reborn supplies. So first off, the first thing that you need to do when buying a reborn doll is, not buying a reborn doll. When an artist creates a reborn doll, they have to find a kit. So here we've got a whole bunch of different newborn size reborn kits. I think this is the 18-19 inch, which is a good newborn size doll. You'll notice that the prices on these kits are not cheap. Now you might notice that there are some kits that say stuff like $30 or $10. Those are not the prices of the kit. Those are pre-order kits, and that's the price, the down payment that you pay on the kit before the kit comes in for sale. You are definitely not going to find a kit for that price. And I believe I'm recording the voice over this separate from the video, so I believe that I do find a cheap kit. Okay, there we go. The Cameo by Shauna Clymer, $69.99. That is probably one of the cheapest kits you're going to find. So this is just the kit, the blank vinyl pieces like you might see behind me. Now the cloth body for the kit does not come with the doll. As you see right there, $15.99, that is the cloth body that you can add to the doll kit. There we go, adding that to cart. And then we're going to move on to other things that we need for the doll. So now I'm going down to eyes and eyelashes. I'm going to go and get some applied eyelashes. They can also be rooted with a needle and some hair, but because those are normally more expensive, I am going to use, for this example, applied lashes. And even though the kit that we chose didn't have open eyes, just to play devil's advocate, I'm going to go and look for some eyes. Some acrylic eyes that are on the cheaper side of eyes. Glass eyes are much more expensive. I prefer to use glass eyes, but since I'm trying to go for a cheaper doll here, we're just going to go for some acrylic. So inside the doll we have glass beads, which are finely ground glass, and that gives the doll weight. So for a newborn sized doll, on the cheaper side, I'll probably put in about 2 pounds of weight, and here you buy glass beads by the pound, so I'm adding 2 pounds in there for the doll. Okay, now for the cable ties that I use. Now these cable ties come in packs of 12. They're a bit more expensive than regular zip ties, but because they have such small heads and they're reinforced with metal, I think it's worth the price. Because the normal zip ties, the heads on the zip tie, they stick out, they hurt your arm, they hurt your hand, whereas these zip ties just kind of, hide inside the cloth body. You don't really notice them. Okay, next we're going down to paints. The paints I use and that a lot of Reborn artists use is the Genesis can I not English today? Genesis heat set paints. So these are the 1-ounce jars, but the paint goes a long way because it's diluted with paint thinner. So $16.99 for a 1-ounce jar for most of them. The others usually go around $14, $15, in that range. Okay, here we have the heat set sealants or mediums, which are really just, they're varnish to help protect the paint once you've finished it. There's a 4-ounce there. I usually buy the 1-ounce, which is $13, or well, $12.95. So it's really difficult because the paints go a long way with the paint thinner. It's really hard to price, or it's hard to work out how much money's worth of paint you put on each doll. For me, I put down a $3 paint fee just because, you can't, there's no way to really set a secure number of how much you use on each doll, but you have to put something there, or else you're going to be losing money on the paint that you buy and use on the dolls. So really, the point of this is to help people realize why the dolls are so expensive and to be more aware and more courteous to the artists who are selling them, because we understand that they're expensive. We understand that they might not be in everyone's price range, but at the same time we need to make a profit off of what we're selling. So there we have the individual order that you would get from a store like McPherson's when you're creating a singular doll. There's also products that can't be so easily priced, or I guess taxed, when creating a price for a doll. Like the paint, you can't, as I said, you can't really come out with a solid price of how much you use. And then the zip ties and the polyfill. And then there are also the things that come with the doll. Artists usually don't just send home a finished doll. They usually send home clothes with the doll. They send home a blanket. So I also have prices of clothes and blankets for the dolls. So usually a blanket is around $5. I do a lot of thrift shopping, a lot of clearance rack shoppings to make the price as low as I can without losing money. Usually I send 2 outfits home with the doll, and I put the clothing price around $15. I try not to spend more than that on each doll. And then usually I send home a pacifier with the doll. So, pricing out the pacifiers that I usually buy, each pacifier is about $4. There's then the magnet that goes, the super strong rare earth magnets that I buy that go into the pacifier and into the doll's head to keep the magnetic pacifier attached to the mouth. And for 2 magnets, I priced it out around to be $1.40. That is the exact price of 2 magnets. we then have the box wrapping fee, the box packing fee. So I usually put that around $5 because of all of the, the box itself. I have to buy those, and then all the blitz and wrapping and stuff that goes into it to make it pretty and fancy, which a lot of artists do as well. Okay, now I'm going to go in and calculate all the expenses that go into making a doll to get the cost that an artist has to spend when making the doll. So first we're going to start out, or I should be starting out any minute, here we go, with the total amount from the order that we would get from McPherson's, with the body and the glass beads and the eyes and the eyelashes. And then you would also have to spend shipping as an artist. So shipping for me from McPherson's is usually about $10. Then we have the zip ties, $130 for the zip ties. Next is the paint fee. Then we have clothing. Then we have a little typo there, not 40. We have $4 for a pacifier. Next, the pacifier magnets, which is $140. Then we've got a blanket at $5. Then we have $3 worth of polyfill roughly in the doll. $5 for box packing. Then 50 cents for the stockings that go into the doll when you put the glass beads in. And that brings us to $150.06. And that's just breaking even. That is the cost that an artist would have put out. That's what I spend when I make a doll. So that's already $150. So I have to sell the doll for at least that to break even and not lose money. So this is why dolls are so expensive. And that's just, a rough guesstimate there. That's the cheapest doll kit that I could find. And, the cheapest products. That's not even with real hair. That's with painted or no hair. So with that, you can kind of see why these dolls are so expensive. I mean, we're sympathetic to the fact that, you do have a budget and all that, but most artists are also open to payment plans or layaways. At the same time, be mindful of the artists, know that this is their living, and, they have to make a profit. And this is, this is what they're spending to create these dolls. So, please don't heckle the artist on the price. Please be respectful of your artists. Now we're going to go into why are some dolls so much more expensive than others. So, basically, why some dolls are so much more expensive than others, you will see, dolls that are priced in the low hundreds, and then you will see dolls that are priced from, 400 to 600, even up into 1,000. So, why is that? Well, it basically comes down to notoriety and experience and quality. My dolls sell for, I've lost money on dolls before. That's just how you get into the business. You're going to lose money on selling your dolls at first. I have just started to break even on selling my dolls. The last doll I sold was the first doll that I've sold. that broke even on the price, that I didn't lose money from. Now, I feel that my dolls are pretty decent quality, so that's one of the things that you pay for. There are also dolls that people sell that are boo-boo babies, which are not as good quality, which that means you pay less for it, because you're not getting as good quality. Notoriety is also a big thing in the doll world. There are famous artists in the Reborn doll community, and those are the dolls that are selling for $600 and upwards. Okay, we're back. So, what is a prototype? A prototype is the first blank kit created, and the first blank kit of that kit that is painted. So, there are hundreds of this little guy floating around. However, the prototype was the first of this face, of that doll, to be painted, if that makes sense. And in the Reborn world, that gives that doll a lot of value. The prototype is also the doll that is presented on websites. The prototype doll is the pictures that you're going to see to represent that kit, because they don't just show you blank kits on the website, they show you finished dolls, so the artist can get a sense of what that doll might look like when it's done. So, the prototypes are usually painted by the more experienced artists. Prototype artists that have done a lot of prototypes, their work is the work that is going for the thousands. You probably don't want to be buying your child a prototype doll because of the cost and because that doll is so valuable. It would really suck if it got wrecked. So, I know it's been a little bit rambly. I hope that clears up some confusion on why these dolls are so expensive. Please be nice to your artists. Talk about possible layaway or payment plans to help you to be able to afford the doll for the child, and also be able to give the artist the money that they need and deserve to, at least break even on this doll if they're a lesser known artist. So, we went over the price of the cost of making these dolls, and then there's the notoriety fact that goes into it. Lesser known artist, less expensive dolls. The artists that have, low quality to mediocre work, less expensive. High quality, realistic, nice looking work, more expensive. So, if you have any questions, please feel to drop them below. I know that I'm not always the best at explaining technical things like this, but I felt like there needed to be a video on this to help people who aren't artists understand why the expense. Next video about buying reborns for children, I'm going to go over, should you buy a reborn? What age of child should you buy a reborn for? Is your child ready for a reborn? All those different things. We're going to talk maturity, we're going to talk age, which I already said. We're going to talk about reliability. It's going to be a discussion that you will have to reflect on, thinking about the individual child you are considering. So that's next time. I hope that this wasn't too rambly. I'm rambling again, but anyways, that is the Frogling's life. Please take time when considering buying a doll for a child. Hang in there, I'll be back with some more answers to questions that you might have in the couple following weeks. Before I ramble on for eternity, this has been Frogling's Reborns. Keep living the Frogling's life, and we'll see you next time. Bye!